Hey guys, it's Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video. Sending some love, some positive vibes your way, especially if you need it out there today. Today we're going to rather ambitiously review every single reviver in Raid Shadow Legends. Why here? Why now? Because A, we have a lot of new revivers added to the game in the year. Plus, since we've done a list like this, or a video like this, I should say. And B, we have Faction Wars 2.0, Faction Wars Hard Mode coming to the game. Are you guys excited? I'm pretty excited about it. And whether or not you've completed your normal Faction Wars, which will be obviously a prerequisite to access Faction Wars Hard, you're going to want to pay attention because you're probably going to want to get your hands on some of these very capable revivers, because at the end of the day, even though some are better than others, every reviver is a reviver, right? And picking up a dead champion on your team is a difference maker no matter how you look at it. So every single one of these is worth at least making a mental note of. That way, if you pull these champions, you're aware, hey, they're a reviver. And some of these factions, revivers can be hard to come by. Others are overflowing with revivers. So
I don't want to hear any complaints.
Anyway, we're going to do it faction by faction in the theme of the Faction Wars Hard Mode. Let's start with Bannerlords. There's 4 Bannerlord revivers. And by the way, I'll give shout outs along the way to all of the crazy passives and conditional revives in the game, such as Marichka the Unbreakable's revive once she's killed. But for the intents of the video, I'm going to keep it not conditional, just straight up active skill revive, but I will again give call outs such as Marichka. These are revives that we have in our own hands, meaning they're not RNG, where they're not conditional on a champion killing a champion or having to die to activate the revive, okay? So Marichka, you know, she's S tier, you know, she's amazing, and she's very close to a reviver just because, you know, if she's ever gonna get killed, she's gonna revive for your team. All right, we have Raglan. Raglan has Miracle. Miracle is a 2-turn revive with a full turn meter and 75% HP. It's still a very special revive. The rest of her kit has fallen off a bit over the years, but she still does have a nice cleanse and a very, very, very capable revive. Single target, but again, 2-turn cooldown, full turn meter. She's a great reviver still to this day. No, we have Kaja. Is that it for legendaries? No. Kaja the Rye. She is Timid the Fool's companion champion, and she has Back with a Bang ability on her A2. A 4-turn cooldown AoE revive, really solid, 50% HP, 50% turn meter, a very, very solid reviver. She also has good turn meter boost as well as some cleanse in her kit, so really good support, and speed in all battles on the aura by 19%, so certainly can use that in Faction Wars as well. Those are the legendary revivers, but we're not over yet. We have one of the best, if not the best, epic revivers in the game in the Bannerlords, and that is Ursula the Mourner. Her revive is next frickin' level survivability. Requiem revives all dead allies, 75% HP, 50% turn meter, with the big version of increased defense and strengthen. You can use this ability without even reviving, just for the buffs if you need them. And who doesn't need the 2 best damage mitigation buffs, I guess, with a shout out to ally protection on one skill, right? So a lot of value here. Again, one of the best revives in the game, even including mythicals, even including legendaries, when we just talk about survivability. So Ursula the Mourner is going to be a must use in Faction Wars for a lot of players out there. She also brings a decrease attack and an increase attack on the same ability, with about a billion books that you need to use on her, but well worth it on Ursula the Mourner. Okay, those are our Bannerlord revivers. That's it. There's no rares revivers, unless I'm missing anybody. No rares. All right, so I think it's probably safe to say that it's pretty hard to get your hands on a good reviver in the Bannerlords, right? Which doesn't seem like it should be the case, but you know, avoid legendary, and then Kaja is a legendary still. Marichka is a very hard to get void legendary, and then avoid epic and Ursula. They need to add another reviver to Bannerlords, man. High Elf time. Star Sage Galathir, he's amazing. I'm not going to spend a ton of time going over the mythicals, but S tier, S tier, S tier, S tier all day long. Cleanse, control on the alternate form, a great revive with perfect veil. And then we have Prisma, or a Highkeeper Prisma? We'll call Prisma. I think this champion is really, really cool. I do not have him, but boy, I kind of want him. A very cool ally with the highest crit damage will join up in the attack on the A2 ability. If an enemy's killed, instant turn granted there. Also a single target revive on a 4-turn cooldown. It's not the strongest revive in the game, but it's far, far from the weakest as well. An increased attack and a perfect veil on that champion for 2 turns, as well as 75% turn meter, 75% HP. That's great survivability and turn meter, albeit a single target in a 4-turn cooldown. With the perfect veil and that HP, it's a very good protection, especially for attack base, people who die, champions who die, because you can set them up with the increased attack buff upon their return as well. We have Arbiter. Well, she's a little bit easier to get than some of the other champions that we've talked about so far. She's still so good to this day. 2 turn meter boosts in her kit, 130%, 120%. The 20% is on the revive, but you can do it even without the revive. Just be careful. You want that revive when you need it. And then the increased attack and the heal if you need it below 50% HP, as well as the decreased duration of enemy buffs and the weaken on her A1, which will be helpful against the red boss or the different colored bosses, I guess, in Faction Wars hard mode. So Arbiter is still one of the better revivers out there. Don't let anybody tell you different. All right, so that's Arbiter. We talked about Prisma. I think those are the only 2 legendaries as I consult my list in Galathir. And then epics, we don't have any. No epic revivers in the High Elves. But we do have a very good rare reviver in High Elves, and that's Reliquary Tender. Reliquary has a great cleanse, the best rare cleanse in the game. I almost said epic because it feels like an epic or legendary ability with the full cleanse and the big version of continuous heal on a 3-turn cooldown. Her revive isn't that great. It's a 5-turn cooldown, 30% HP, 30% turn meter, but it's a revive. And if you need it, she's got it. So a lot of support, healing, and revive here from a rare champion. And that's it for High Elves, guys. So only 4, at least one of those 4 is a rare. Sacred Order, there's a lot of revivers. It really fits the kind of overall aesthetic or motif, so to speak, of the Sacred Order. We have Siegfried. Siegfried's kind of a conditional reviver because, everybody else needs to be dead for him to transform into probably the most badass transformation in all of Raid Shadow Legends. I love the look of this champion. I mean, oh my word. So incredible. This has got to be the coolest looking champion design in the game, right? And he has a revive with block damage. Very strong champion, one of the strongest in the game, and a very, very strong revive as well. We have Lady Noelle. Speaking of strong revives, she is one of the strongest. She has a speed in arena battles, which is great. Not going to help you out in Faction Wars, though. She has a Cure Sheep ability, as well as a nice heal. She's Sir Nick's companion champion. But this Hearthkeeper revive is so unbelievably good. One of the best AoE revives in the game, namely because it's a 3-turn cooldown. An AoE revive on a 3-turn cooldown is power creeping almost every reviver in the game. She's an exceptional champion. She's also placing a freeze on the enemy team as well. 100% land rate on a 3-turn cooldown. That's busted. That is busted. You can place the freeze even if there's no dead allies as well. She's an S-tier reviver in my book. We also have High Mother Maud. Maud is very good. She has a solid revive on a 4-turn cooldown, AoE revive, 50% HP, 50% turn meter, increased defense or increased attack depending on what they need, and she's got one of those nice kind of a little bit of Doom Priest, a little bit of Tawana Rock here on the passive where she's cleansing every turn. Also, we have buff, debuff, manipulation on the A2 ability, man. She's very good. I still don't have her. She's the champion that you can only get with extra fragments from previous fragment summons or whatnot. Are any of you guys close to getting High Mother Maud? Does anybody have her out there? Seems like a lot of players have her, man. I'm not one of them. I think I have around 70 or 80 fragments, so I'm making my way there slowly but surely.
Okay, the green bar is what you spend every month on stuff you need, like a car and a house. This scary black bar is what you spend on things that no one ever needs.
All right, so we have quite a few more here. We have a couple epics. Godseeker and Eerie. She's still for my money, she's still S tier. She's got that great revive, resets the cooldown of all their skills. Healing is better when she's on the team. All she has to do is exist, right? Increase the amount of all healing allies receive. She also has a preempt fatal hit on another kind of built-in fail-safe revive mechanism, right? Someone's about to get killed. She steps in and preempts that death with a revive on death, and then she still has a revive on her Rise of Glory. She also has an AoE heal and buff manipulation. Very, very good champion there. And then, not so much, it's not as good as Godseeker and Eerie, but it's Mistress of Hymns. Mistress of Hymns is an old school reviver from the Sacred Order. She has a continuous heal on the 2 allies with lowest HP if the attack is critical. I don't like that, but she does have a revive 2 random allies. So if you don't have a Godseeker or any of the legendary or Siegfried, right, champions that we've spoken about, Mistress of Hymns, she's an option, right? 2 random allies is better than no allies revived. So Mistress has it covered, and there's one more, and it's Cardinal. Cardinal has the Mending Touch, a nice little heal, increased defense, albeit a single target, and then she has Redemption. Redemption revives everybody with turn meters to max, meaning they're guaranteed to go next, right away. Still the only ability in Raid that has that, certainly the only revive ability that has that, it's Cardinal. She's still very special, and she's absolutely worthy of being a Void, a hard-to-get epic champion. And that's it for Sacred Order. No rares that revive here in the Sacred Order, unfortunately. Barbarian time. Oh, we got my girl, Syl of the Drakes. What's up, Syl? How you doing? How you doing?
We need to talk.
Syl of the Drakes is an amazing reviver, and we get her for free as a daily login reward. She's amazing for Faction Wars as well. A lot of you guys are going to be using her even in Faction Wars hard because she has a decreased speed, which is very helpful against bosses on her A1. She has a stun, which is great for wave content, and she has a revive, single ally, 4-turn cooldown with an ally protection on them for survivability, and then she has heals as well as increased speed on her passive. A very capable healer, controller, and reviver, all baked into one with the debuffs to boot. Very, 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 very good champion, still to this day. That's it for legendaries, though. We have a conditional revive on Altan. He revives a random ally every time he kills an enemy. Okay. We have a conditional revive on Odin. Much better than Altan's conditional revive. Every time he kills somebody with his A3, which is a very hard-hitting attack, he will revive a random dead ally with 50% HP, 50% turn meter. Yeah, he's S tier. Yeah, he's amazing. Tashada, though, is an epic champion who got a rework, and now she's a reviver. It's the only time I can remember Plarium ever actually giving a buff by adding revive to a kit that previously did not have it. And that is Tashada with the Spirit Appeasement. It's revive a random ally with 40% HP, 40% turn meter, and a heal on everybody. This is on a 3-turn cooldown. Listen, you could do a lot worse, right, than a speed and faction crypts, which is going to be good for Faction Wars 2.0 on the Aura, and a 3-turn revive. She has a weaken as well, big version, on her A2, which is useful, especially against the bosses. So don't sleep on Tashada. We also have a free-ish champion that we can get here in the epic rarity of Barbarians in Jamarsa. Jamarsa is the friend referral champion that you get before Chronum. She's so much easier to get than Chronum. She has a revive, an AoE revive on a 5-turn cooldown when booked. It's not very good of a revive, especially that long cooldown and not much survivability, but it is a revive. Again, you know, we're saying that a lot, but suffice it to say, it's still an AoE revive. Whenever an ally uses an active skill, 20% chance to decrease the cooldown of that skill by 1 1 turn. Phasing passive is pretty nice as well. She also has a little bit of healing. And that's it, guys, for Barbarians. At least they're accessible. At least Jamarsa is accessible. And then Tashada, the rework. But yeah, no rare revivers in the Barbarian faction as well. So only 3, Sylva Drakes, Tashada, and Jamarsa in terms of the active revivers in Barbarians. I wanted to take a quick little moment and give a shout out to Ashhound. I need to take this guy, I think, refer account for Ash out. But Ashhound in T-Flaz and refer account for Ash. I want to give a shout to these guys hustling and grinding so I can get my hands on Jamarsa and maybe one day on Chronum. So thank you so much, everybody, for helping me out there, or at least you 3.
That's what I like, teamwork.
All right, it's time for Ogryn Tribe, guys. Legendaries, we have Bellatar, Mage Slayer. He's not the most wanted Void champion inside the game. He's not awful, but he's all right. He's got increased attack, increased defense. He has an AoE revive on a 4-turn cooldown with a shield on them for survivability. And then he has a pretty cool passive that has to do with reviving. Has a 70% chance of decreasing all of an ally's skill cooldowns by 1 turn whenever they're revived. He also has the same sort of vibe with his A1 ability, so he's a reviver. There's not many in Ogryn Tribe. As a matter of fact, he is the only legendary reviver. He's the only one in the entire faction. And then when we look at the epics, man, there's nobody. The only revive we have here, the only revive is Ugo's emergency revive. The Ugo emergency revive, right? Basically, if she's the last living champion on the team, she'll get block damage, increased speed, and revive with her A3 ability. That's all you got here. Now, the good news is there is a rare reviver, and it's Gear Grinder. He's a pretty one-dimensional champion. He's got a revive on a 5-turn cooldown. He's got a heal on a 3-turn cooldown. That's about it, but he's pretty tanky for a rare. And again, Ogryn Tribe is hurting for revivers, so he's a really serviceable option. You could even throw him on a shield set or something like that for a little bit extra utility out of him, and that's it. He has a continuous heal on himself if the attack is critical. I wouldn't build him with crit rate just for this ability, honestly. But hey, does he have, he has HP and faction crypts as well. So hey, Gear Grinder, I imagine a lot of people will be using this guy, man. I mean, like, it probably already are in regular faction wars if you're lacking for a reviver in the Ogryn Tribes. That's it, guys. Lazarius and Lizardmen. Yeah, it's a conditional revive, but that condition is not very difficult to meet. All he has to do is take a turn, right? At the end of this champion's turn, where is the revive? Revives a random ally with 50% HP and 50% turn meter. That's it. Just has to take a turn, and then he's reviving. So yeah, Lazarius has got you covered. The good news is the Lizardmen have revivers on revivers on revivers. Some of the better ones in the game, such as Pytheon. He's got a heal, he's got a cleanse, and a block debuffs on a 3-turn cooldown. He's got the Immortal Serpent, an AoE revive on a 4-turn cooldown with a strengthened big version. Beautiful survivability that he lends to your team, as well as the Overlay passive. Allies receive 5% less damage from skills for each buff on them. So damage mitigation as well. He's definitely one of the kind of starting to become an old school reviver in a lot of ways, a previous fusion from a few years back, but very, very good still to this day. Speaking of very good, Sulfurion, very hard to get, but he has a revive with an extra turn. He's also amazing for busting Stone Skin or killing in Spider or anywhere else with the HP burn and the HP burn activation, and a really busted passive as well. Good turn meter booster for your team in Sulfurion. We also have a couple epics, or at least one epic in Broadmaw. Broadmaw is a permanent fusion inside the game. He's worth getting. They gave him a buff about 2 years ago or so. I wish they had buffed it to the big version of increased speed. Still not a bad ability. A turn meter fill, increased speed, increased crit rate. He has a freeze on his A1 for some spot control here and there if you need it. And a 2 random dead ally revival on his resurrect. And again, he is a permanent fusion in the game. Same thing with a Razin, same thing with a like Mikage type champion, but he's a lot easier to get. So Broadmaw is worth picking up. He also has a faction war defense and faction crypts on his passive. And then we even have a rare reviver in Haruspex. Haruspex is a He's just an all-right champion. I like that he has a turn meter feel and an increased speed, albeit the weak version, but not a bad, like, very early game arena champion, given that he has an arena aura as well. But hey, if you're looking for it, he has the Fate Reweaved, revives a dead ally 30% HP, and fills their turn meter by 30% as well. So what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 revivers here in a faction with not that many champions in Lizardmen. All right, we're going to go to Skinwalkers here. Skinwalkers, we have Mighty Ukko. Man, Ukko's the best. S tier, S tier. I love Mighty Ukko. You just got to be careful because Mighty Ukko, whatever the heck, the revive can go on auto with the increased speed buff, right? It's not ideal to have it auto increase speed, then you have it off cooldown when you need it for the revive, but it is nice at the same time to have that increased speed. Just be careful if you're on auto battle. But a busted kit, removing buffs, placing it block buffs, AoE 2-time hitter, another AoE would decrease attack on the A1, gonna be beautiful for faction wars. Also stealing buffs and then protecting those buffs. And by the way, speed in all battles by 20% on the aura. Yeah, Mighty Ukko is just insane. And there's not many revivers in Skinwalkers as well. So added value there in Mighty Ukko. Really, really good champion. Again, I gave him A or S tier. Skinwalker time, or excuse me, we're already at Skinwalkers, Ash. Come on, bro. Epic time, there's one. Horaphes the Tusked. Really good addition to the game because before Mighty Ukko and Horaphes the Tusked, there was nobody. There was no other revivers than Skinwalkers for the longest time. Increased attack, increased crit rate in the A2. Okay, we'll take it. Can be a good setup, obviously, to your attack-based damage dealers. And then Eternal War is simple. Revives 2 random allies. Fills their turn meter by 50%. And a big version of Strengthen buff on them as well. I like that he also has the stun on the A1, again, for those spot controls. Really, really solid addition. You're going to be using this champion for sure if you're lacking a Mighty Ukko or the rare that we're going to talk about next. Yes, there is a rare reviver here. Anybody know who? It's kind of a new-ish one, Meat Cleaver Tolog. Was he part of a fusion? Am I misremembering that? Either way, HP-based reviver with a lot of HP for a rare champion, right? You could do a lot worse here. Increased defense on all allies and a continuous heal, big version. This is on a 4-turn cooldown. Not a bad ability there. And then revive a random ally, 30% HP, 30% turn meter, and a continuous heal on them for 1 turn on a 4-turn cooldown. We also have a continuous heal. Whenever a continuous heal is placed on an ally from the Skinwalkers faction is removed, it replaces it. Okay, whatever. But Reviving Stew, again, if you're lacking the other 2 revivers, you could definitely get by with this. Similar to Gear Grinder, you put him in a shield set or something like that, a lot of HP and get a lot of utility out of a champion that's a rare, that's easier to get, frankly, than the other 2 in the faction. And that's it for Skinwalkers. Moving on to Orcs. Nothing in the mythical category here. When we get to legendaries, we have Raka Viletide. Man, I love me some Raka, guys. She's really good. I think she's underrated big time.
Out of my way, chunk.
Ooh. Speed in all battles by 19% on the aura. We have this great passive. At the start of each turn, fills a turn meter of all allies by 10%. So turn meter fill just built into the kit, right? Continuous heals as well, and the ally with lowest HP. We have a revive all dead allies, 50% HP, 50% turn meter, and block debuffs for 2 turns. The nice thing is she'll place that block debuffs even if there's nobody dead, which synergizes beautifully with the nice A2, which is a full cleanse with an increased attack and a shield on all allies, and a very fast base speed on this champion. So speed aura, a full cleanse, block debuffs, turn meter fill, a heal on the A1. Raka's very, very underrated in my opinion. Great for Chimera as well. Old Hermit Jorg. So really solid reviver epic out there in the Orcs faction for you guys. I love that he has the burn on the A1. Don't sleep on that burn. Burn can be very hard to find, especially when we take away legendaries and mythicals in the game, and he has it on the A1. Very nice. An increased attack and a juicy 20% turn meter fill on his A2. We love the 20% turn meter fill. A great arena setup champion as well. A great setup nonetheless. Great turn meter. Revive 2 allies on the revive, Ghost Walk. It's a 5-turn cooldown. A fairly simple kit, but a very effective kit. I like that he revives, he sets up your nukers, he turn meter fills, and he burns, right? And then we've got my favorite epic reviver in the game. Maybe my favorite reviver in the game. It's Tagore, the big fella. I love Tagore. HP in all battles. Yeah, use it in Faction Wars. Use it everywhere. We have Aid the Feeble. Damage mitigation on the passive. We have an increased speed. We have a heal based on his HP. We have an increased defense in the ally with lowest HP. And then we have a Rise and Fight. 5-turn cooldown, revive all dead allies, 30% HP with the shield based on his max HP. So we really want to scale that HP up as much as we can. And Tagore's got you covered with revives, with an essential buff, the essential buff, great heals, and more. Damage mitigation, just busted reviver, S-tier epic reviver in the game. I love me some Tagore. Man, I was on that champion the day he was released. I was like, dude, don't sleep on this new orc. And he's still that good to this day. Yelagurna is a conditional reviver that you guys should know about. Decently hard-hitting champion. And the Great Cycle revives a random ally with 50% HP every time this champion kills an enemy. So it's a very conditional revive, but it is a revive if you don't have Tagore or you don't have Jorg or Raka. And then we have, well, I guess everybody's going to have at least one reviver, right? Because Shaman, the one that everybody gets for free, unless you used her for food or something, is also a reviver in the Orcs. So Orcs actually have a lot of options here because one of them we all have. Tagore as well you can get with download codes. So yeah, there's a lot of options. So you shouldn't really be struggling in the Orc faction. Knock on wood, I hope nobody's going to respond and say, I am struggling in the Orc faction. Revives an ally 50% HP and a shield on them. Very, very, very basic revive. As basic as they come, but decent base stats, easy to keep alive, and that's about it. Not the best reviver in the game, but again, a reviver nonetheless. And that's it for Orcs, guys. Yeah, that's it. Demonspawn. Demonspawn is the toughest faction in the game when it comes to finding a reviver, right? Look at all these amazing legendaries in this faction. Man, there's so many good ones, right? But there's only one reviver. Only one. And that is Duchess. Still to this day. Duchess is Duchess. She's amazing. If you have her, it's gonna be a cakewalk for you, right? In terms of support and revive, at least. A great revive, one of the best in the game, with the Veil, the continuous heal, and the 70% HP, right? We also have block debuffs, increase attack, and a perfect Veil. We have Ethereal Ways, which gives that damage mitigation. She's just amazing. She's next level good. But that's it. That's it for the legendaries. And then there's one Demonspawn epic, and is Dur the Hungerer. Dur is a big fella, huh? I love the aesthetic. He has the same guy, two of these guys, on his little belt that Walking Tombdrang has on his back, right? Is that the same exact guy? Take a look at him here. And then take a look at Dur's little belt or whatever, right? It's the same dude, right? I think.
They are cousins, all family.
Anyway, I digress. Dur the Hunger has revived 2 random allies with a 50% turn meter fill. It's not a bad revive. He also brings a reflect damage, a continuous heal, and heal all allies by 15% of their max HP on a 3-turn cooldown with a stun on the A1. He's very similar to what's his face, the Horifes the Tusked, the one from the Skinwalkers that we talked about, added around the same time as well. But that's it for Demonspawn, guys. That's it. I triple check this. I'm like, wait, there's only 2? There's only 2. So Demonspawn's a very tough faction. I remember struggling with the Demonspawn faction quite a bit when I first beat it back in the day, right? This was before Dur was added to the game. I didn't have Duchess, and it was challenging. Undead Horde, though, has quite a few more options, starting with the mythical Theodosia. Theodosia is very strong, I think. People are kind of divided on her. She got speed in all battles. She got a revive with 50% turn meter, 50% HP, and an unkillable for 2 turns, all on a 4-turn cooldown. She has a cleanse and perfect veil and stone skin as well on herself. A really nice alternate form as well. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but yeah, if you have her, you're going to be all set. You'll be taken care of, right? And then, of course, Siphi, the Lost Bride. She has still Whirlwind Romance, very, very good ability, 3 great buffs, as well as that little turn meter fill in there as well. She's got great control on her A1. She's got great heals on her passive, and then she has a beautiful revive with a full turn meter. It's no miracle. It's not a 2-turn cooldown, but it's still a very powerful revive because that full turn meter it's fantastic to have on your team, right? Also sets up attack-based damage dealers with the buffs there as well. So yeah, Siphi, she's very fast. She's still one of the best champions in the game here, 4 years after when she was released. So you're going to be fine if you have Siphi. But hey, if you don't have Theodosia and you don't have Siphi, no worries. There's still some solid epic options, and one of them is an old school champion in Gorgorab. Gorgorab brings turn meter fill and an increased attack on his A2 ability, very similar to an old Hermit Jorg's A2 ability, except for a 20%, it's a 15% turn meter fill. And then he has an AoE revive on a 5-turn cooldown with a heal. The heal will work even if nobody's revived, so keep that in mind as well. But hey, not the strongest revive, certainly not like it was back in the day when we were really struggling to find or get our hands on competent epic revivers out there. But still, he can be used as a reviver and an AoE reviver at that. So definitely some utility still in the old school champions bag of tricks here in Gorgorab. But there's another one. There's actually a rare reviver in the Undead Horde. So if you don't have Gorgorab, you still have an option, and it's Grinner. Grinner's underrated. Why is he underrated? First of all, he's fairly, I can't say tanky with 14k HP, but he does have a decent amount of defense. He does have a remove a random buff from each target on his AoE attack, which is actually pretty nice for a reviver. We don't know what the waves are going to look like, but the shock ability is a 3-turn cooldown, so keep that in mind as well. He has an increased attack on all allies on his A1, albeit only a 25% chance of happening, but Unbury is a pretty solid 4-turn cooldown, revive an ally, 50% HP plus a shield. You could do a lot worse when it comes to rare revivers than Grinner. And my favorite part about him is he's super fast, 110 base speed for a rare champion. Don't sleep on Grinner. All right, Dark Elves time. We have only one legendary reviver. I can't believe only one in Dark Elves, and it's Blind Seer. Blind Seer is very fast, 115 base speed. She also has a great aura that you can use in all battles. Her revive leaves a lot to be desired. It's not that good. A 5-turn AoE, what are you, Gorgorab with 35% HP and no turn meter? That's very, very bad for a Void legendary champion. Now, she does give block damage for 1 turn, which helps, but you know, you need a lot of support around her. The good news is she does bring a block debuffs as well as a shield, which can help that survivability of your team, and some turn meter on the A1 as well. So listen, if you have her, you're probably going to end up using her in Faction Wars hard, especially because there's not that many options. But I think she's quite an underwhelming Void legendary at the end of the day. What do you guys think? We do have a few epics / rares. We have Caden. Caden's a nice AoE decrease attack, as well as a provoke on his A1. It's a low shot, but it's a shot nonetheless, and a revive 2 ally on his A2. So the Blue Knight, pretty solid reviver. And then we have Fang Cleric. There he is. Fang Cleric is an old school epic reviver. He's not that great, but he has a heal. He has a veil as well if they're not fully healed, so some kind of fallback. What I love about this Shadowy Blessings, the A2, is that he has it on a 2-turn cooldown. Normally, I don't like single target, support abilities, but a 2-turn cooldown one, that's not that bad at all, right? He has a transferring a random debuff from this champion to the target, a little self-cleanse at 100% land rate on his A1, and then he has Revive a Dead Ally, 30% HP, 30% turn meter, unkillable for 1 turn, and continuous heal for 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown. He also brings speed in all battles on the aura. Yeah, people sleep on Fang Cleric, really not a bad champion at all. And then we have Ryan the Conjurer. Ryan is a Doom Tower normal champion, so everybody can get their hands on her. She's going to be exceptional in Faction Wars Hard because she's going to be removing buffs from the waves, also bringing your big version of Weaken on an AoE on a 3-turn cooldown, and a decent revive at a 4-turn cooldown, single target, 50% HP, 50% turn meter. Ryan the Conjurer. That is it for Dark Elves. Did I say rare? I was thinking in my head that Fang Cleric was a rare. He and Grinner, I get confused, like 2 old school champions.
Excuse me.
But yeah, he's an epic champion, but a solid one at that. All right, moving on to Knights Revenant. We have 4 revivers in Knights Revenant. And the best of the best, I'm going to say is, yeah, it's not close. White Queen and Korra. White Queen is so unbelievably strong, guys. She is a champion. She is a champ. A full cleanse with a shield and a turn meter fill as well. If White King's on the same team, she puts a strength in there too. She has a great revive. It's a 75% turn meter with a full reset of their skills. That is exceptionally good. It was only Godseeker and Nuri who had that ability for a long time until White Queen came around. After the revival, decreased the turn meter of all enemies by 10%. That's very sneaky. It's very good. And a 50% HP as well. She's stealing CC debuffs. She's stealing them from allies and soaking them up herself as well. She also fills her own turn meter when she misses her turn due to one of those debuffs. So a great cleanser, a great support champion, a fantastic reviver, decrease the cooldown of a random ally skills by 2 turns on her A1. Man, built different, White Queen and Korra. Just one of the better supports out there, even in the game. Great base stats too. Very fast at 111 base speed, almost 21k HP. Hell yeah. All right, we go to the epics. Dawncaller Sabbatha. She's one of the newer epics. She was part of a fusion recently. She has a heal on her A1. She has an increased defense, increased attack ability on a 3-turn cooldown. Not bad, very similar to Mithrala's A2 ability, except for no hex. She has a revive, an ally with 25% HP, not that great, but 100% turn meter and a block damage for 2 turns. Really solid revive here. From an epic champion, we haven't seen a revive quite this good, maybe with the exception of Godseeker when it comes to single target revives before she was added to the game. She also has this ability. Whenever this champion revives an ally, decrease the cooldown of one of this champion's skills by 1 turn. Very powerful kit. HP in all battles by 25% as well. Definitely going to be using her if you have her. Well, I shouldn't say definitely, because there's 2 other very competent revivers in this same faction in epics. And it's Rector Drath, one of the best epic revivers out there, truly, because a strong single target revive, good turn meter fill, 60%, and good HP, 60%, with the perfect veil for not 1, not 2, but 3 turns. Very, very good. Heals allies under Veil and Perfect Veil. Great healer as well. And she has a Perfect Veil on a 4-turn cooldown on all allies. Rector Drath is just one of the best support epics out there in the game. Having that Perfect Veil alone is very special for an epic champion to have. I think only 7 champions in the game have an AoE Perfect Veil. And she's one of them. She's one of them. She's very, very good, and she's a reviver as well. There's one more. Yes, I like this guy. Malkith Bloodflock. He's really cool. I love the aesthetic on this dude. I think he's just overshadowed a little bit by the Knights Revenant having some very good revivers who we've already spoken about, right? He has a great decreased duration of enemy buffs, increased duration of all ally buffs on his A2 ability, and then he has that 2 random ally revival on a 4-turn cooldown. I don't mind random 2 revivals because most times you're only going to have 1 dead ally, or it's going to be one of those situations where almost everybody's dead except for the reviver, and you just want to get some bodies off the floor at that point, right? So Malekith Bloodfluck is a very good option. I really think this champion is very cool. 70% chance of stealing a buff from the target on his A1 as well. Solid champion for sure. There are no Knights Revenant rare revivers, so let's move on to the Dwarves. No mythicals here. There's only 3 dwarf revivers in the game. And one of them is Molly Tankard. She's the old school out of the dwarf revivers for a long time, for years. She was the only reviver in all the Dwarves faction, right? Very fast, 107 base speed, tanky. I mean, it's in the name. She ought to be, right? She's got this beautiful provoke that could be a 2-turn provoke, 50% chance to get it for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. This is very good in the arena, but it's very good in waves as well, which you'll need in Faction Wars hard. Exceptional champion, very great in Hydra for controlling the head of decay as well as reviving your team, right? And she has the revive here with a 50% turn meter, block damage, 4-turn cooldown. She has, by the way, a burn. Excuse me, I always say she has the burn. She has damage increases if the target's under burn, which she does not have in her kit. But Rowdy Crowd passive is very strong. Fills the turn meter of all allies by 15% when this champion is hit. Fills the turn meter of all allies by 25% chance, or 25%, excuse me, when this champion is hit by a boss. That's one of the best turn meter fill abilities and mechanics in the game, and it's on her passive. It happens once per turn, once in between her turns, because it is on a 1-turn cooldown when booked. Very good turn meter fill, as well as control, as well as revive from Molly Tankard. We have Senna Amberheart, one of the most wanted revivers in the game, specifically because of Chimera, but she's great everywhere. Very fast, 113 base speed. She also brings speed in all battles. She also brings increased speed. She brings a continuous heal and turn meter fill. She has a revive on a 4-turn cooldown, an AoE revive, and everybody who's revived is going to join in for an ally attack right after they're revived, which is kind of, you know, it's not bad, but it's kind of weird, you know? I'd rather have a lot of support and buffs and stuff on them, but hey, you'll take the extra damage as well. Plus, if they have the right A1 abilities, you might be able to land some debuffs on whoever they're attacking, right? But what her claim to fame and what makes her so incredibly good, on top of everything that she's doing, right? Especially with that A2 and the revive, but whenever a continuous heal buff activates on an ally, fills the turn meter of all allies by 5%. That's busted. So 1 tick of 1 continuous heal on 1 champion on your team, and everybody's going to get that juicy turn meter fill. Fantastic. She brings the speed in all battles, which I already mentioned, and at the end of this champion's turn, she increases the duration of continuous heal on a random ally. She also activates it on her A1. So all about the heals, turn meter, and much, much more, right? And then we have Melga. She was the, I was going to say recent addition, but it's been like 2 years now or 3 years since she'd been added to the game. But for a long time, there was no other epic. There was no other champion to begin with who could revive. And she's the 2 random reviver in the Dwarf faction, right? 2 random allies, 20% HP, 20% turn meter, and a shield equal to 30% of the max HP. It's not that great. It's not that bad either. She also brings a shield and heals, continuous heals on her A2 ability. All right, that's it. That's it for Dwarves. Melga is all right. I used her on my free-to-play account, and you know, I kind of outgrew her pretty quickly, to be honest with you guys, but she did help me out for progression until I was able to get a better reviver for Dwarves specifically. Shadowkin time. The Shadowkin's tough. First, you got no mythicals. You got Gamaran, right? Gamaran deserves a shout-out as a conditional reviver, because he just got a buff to his revive, right? Revives a random ally with 30% HP and 30% turn meter each time an enemy is killed. Revives a random ally with 30% HP and 30% turn meter each time a block revive is placed on an enemy which he has on his A3 ability, right? So you can place block revive on a dead enemy. Again, it is conditional. You need to actually kill somebody or put a block revive on an enemy, but that's fairly easy to do with this kit, right? So, you know, it's conditional, but he's actually one of your best options in Shadowkin when it comes to revivers, because there's not that many, right? Next up is going to be, it's actually pretty slim pickings here. There's no other legendary reviver. That's it. It's just Gamoran's passive. And then the only reviver in all of Shadowkin with an active revive ability that's not conditional is Kinagashi. Revives an ally 50% HP, 50% turn meter, increased defense on that ally on a 4-turn cooldown. Not a bad revive ability. She has, is it a she or a he? I think it's a she. She has an ally attack that only one poor ally can join in. So a random ally will team up, to attack an enemy. There you go. It's a very, very basic kit, but hey, if you need revives, you're looking at it in Shadowkin, right? Now, Sashi does also have a revive, but it is a conditional one, right? On the passive, revives a random ally 30% HP, no turn meter, when this champion kills an enemy. So you've got that too. Between Gamoran and Sashi, and obviously Kinagashi, hopefully you have at least one of those champions, so you do have a revival option on your team in Shadowkin. I like Sashi, by the way, a strong AoE on the A1 as well. She's a cool champion. She's not like S tier or anything like that, but you can definitely get utility out of her in a very weak faction when it comes to revivers, right? Now, Sylvan Watchers, we end on a high note here because there's tons of revivers here. Nice. I hate this dude. I hate this dude. Probably because I don't have him, but I hate him. All he has to do is kill somebody, and he revives random allies with no cooldown. So if you kill 2 people, you revive two allies. You kill 3, you revive 3 allies. And he's just got the most busted kit in the game, right? So yeah, we got nice. Our bias has an AoE revive on death, which is noteworthy. Then we get to the actual legendaries with active revives. Elva. Very, very good revive. It's a 50% turn meter, 40% HP, but it's on a 3-turn cooldown. Very short cooldown. Also sets them up with an increased defense and an increased attack. She also brings a cleanse, a block debuffs, an increased speed, 3-turn cooldown, heals on the passive as well as speed in all battles. Perfect veil on the passive with the ally with the lowest HP, man. Elva has some really top tier support. Did I mention she's fast? She's very fast as well. Very good champion. And then we get to the big guns here. Well, Elvis included in the big guns, but Glaciad. This guy is really strong, man. I wish I had this guy. He's very fast too. 112 base speed, super tanky, speed in all battles. He's got an increased attack, a perfect veil, and a turn meter. Fill in his kit. He's got this busted passive. Allies under perfect veil placed by this champion deal 10% more damage. Allies under perfect veil placed by this champion deal an extra 10% damage to enemies under veil or perfect veil as well. Then he's got the revive. Revives all dead allies on a 4-turn cooldown, 40% HP, 25% turn meter, increased accuracy, increased defense, 3 turns, can be used even if no one was revived. And oh, by the way, if someone was revived, he gets an extra turn. Oh my word. The only knock on him is the revive. 40% HP and 25% turn meter is not very strong. Everything else in his kit is very strong. He's one of my most wanted revivers in the game. All right, that's it for legendaries, but we are not done. We have a very mediocre option for epics, and it's Wirian the Silken. She has an increased speed and a turn meter fill on a 4-turn cooldown. Womp womp. But hey, for Faction Wars, really solid, because she has the increased speed. If you don't have Elva, like she'll cover that Elva role for you because she has the speed aura in Faction Wars, right? 20% with the revive, revives a dead ally on a 4-turn cooldown with a continuous heal, 30% turn meter, 50% HP, with a turn meter fill and an increased speed. You could do a lot worse, especially in Faction Wars. But there's a rare who just so happens to be my favorite rare reviver in the game by a long shot, and it's Tree Shield Knot. He's very good. He has speed and faction crisp by 15%, right? He's bringing a heal and an increased defense, the weak version, but increased defense nonetheless on a 3-turn cooldown. He has a decreased attack on a triple hitter on his A1, and then he has a 2 random revive. That's right, the only rare in the game that can revive 2 allies with his revive. It doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but it is a big deal. 2 revive is better than 1. It's double the value. Also, a shield on said revived allies equal 20% of their HP. This is on a 5-turn cooldown, so it's pretty dang powerful, even with the 25% HP, 25% turn meter for a rare champion to be bringing all of this to the table. Again, you can go back in there and heal and increase defense after the revival as well. So there it is, guys. That is every reviver in Raid Shadow Legends broken up by faction with timestamps for you guys. That way, in case you wanted to go back and refer to a faction to see who you have or who you need if you're looking for a reviver for Faction Wars Hard, well, here you go. You found the video. Thank you for making it all the way till the end of the video. Much love, and as always, take care, guys.